Hey, this is Kaylin Huntress on the first day of Tech Week New Zealand. Today I went to the Sales and Marketing Jam at the Biz Dojo, which is a cool co-working space that I'm going to be spending a lot of time at this week. And there were 6 things that I thought were really powerful quotes from the Sales and Marketing Jam this morning that I want to share with you. I tweeted out a whole bunch this morning, dozens of quotes, because there was just a whole lot of knowledge being dropped. And so you can follow me on Twitter at KaylinMac. Links in the video description below. And you can also follow along with the stuff that's happening on the hashtags that are in the video description. I'll be sure to include those. But for right now, I'm just going to tell you these 6 ideas that really affected me. The Sales and Marketing Jam is put on by Kiwi Landing Pod, which is a nonprofit based in San Francisco that helps New Zealanders enter the U.S. market and physically locate over there as well. But they also help New Zealanders get all around the world. So it's a really cool organization, and they hosted the event. And the 2 main people there, Sean Simpson and John Holt, sort of co-emceed the event. And the event had a lot of conversations with the audience. Every speaker, there were 4 speakers, and they each had 5 minutes and 5 slides. And then after that, they spent the rest of their hour talking with the audience. And it really was a jam, you know? The conversations kind of went all over the place. Other speakers would jump in, people from the audience would ask questions, and it was a great format. I really enjoyed it. The first quote that really affected me was from Sean Simpson, and she asked us a really profound question right in the beginning. What matters? Not just in your business, but in your life. When you ask yourself this question, it makes you differentiate between the things that are just making you busy and the things that actually have an impact. And when you ask yourself what matters, you might find out that you've been spending a lot of time doing things that might keep you busy, but they don't actually matter. So it was really good for me to ask that question about myself, my own business, my own life. So it was a great question. So, what matters to you? What really matters out of the stuff you're doing? Later in the event, John Holt said, we were talking about organizations and how they grow, because there's a lot of founders at the event today. And he said that the best people are generally trying to replace themselves. And this happens as organizations grow, that people will have their own job outsourced to somebody else. And when you hire, you want somebody else to do the things you're doing. And it's a really good perspective to have on the work that you do in your organization. How can I replace myself so that I can move on to doing the next thing, right? Then we got into the speakers, and the first speaker was great. His name was Daniel Barber. He works for Datanyze, and he's got a strong sales background, and he's got a great perspective on the different levels of scaling with sales, because he's got a great experience in doing a whole lot of things, bringing companies to market, getting exits, and all that. And so he talked about the difference between sales and marketing, and that marketing and sales need alignment, but there should be a healthy friction between the two. And I love that idea, that sales and marketing, they brought up examples of when sometimes they're the same person. When one person is doing the sales and the marketing function, you don't have that healthy friction that helps both departments to grow. There was a marketing person there. Her name was Tammy McQueen, and she's the director of marketing for SalesLoft. And she told the funniest story about hiring a Mark Benioff impersonator and going to Dreamforce. Mark Benioff is the CEO of Salesforce, and Dreamforce is their annual conference that has tons of people at it. And so she wanted to really stick out, and so she hired an impersonator of the CEO, and it went really well. And then the next year they went back and they tried something bigger. And so she said, this was her quote that I love so much. She said, with guerrilla marketing, a little more budget can get you into a lot of trouble. And this, the second thing she did was hilarious. And I'm not going to spoil it because it's a great story. I tweeted out a link to the story. She wrote a whole blog post about it. And so, you can find it over on Twitter or on the hashtag TechWeekNZ. It's going to be on there. And so that was a great story. I really enjoyed it. Evan Kumek was also one of the speakers there. He's a product manager for Twilio, and he had a lot of great insight on what a product manager is and what he does and what the product manager role is. And so that was really insightful. But what he said that really affected me was how when you're working with limited resources, he said that asking yourself, how can I fix this problem with limited resources? That's a question that New Zealanders are actually uniquely qualified to solve. Because of their independence, because of the New Zealand character. He said that trying to answer that question, how can I solve this problem with limited resources? That New Zealanders, this is something that they're really good at. And based on what I've seen of the character of New Zealanders so far, I totally agree. And then the last quote that I really liked from today was from Holly Cardew, who's the founder of Pix, and she calls herself the Chief Everything Officer. And so she had a lot to say about, about growing and scaling a team and what the role of a founder is. And she said that founders are responsible for everything, but they don't have to do everything. And so she talked a lot about delegating, about documenting your process so that you can hand it off to somebody else. And for companies that are growing and looking to scale, that's really good advice. So those were the 6 things that I learned today at Tech Week at the Sales and Marketing Jam. And you can continue following along with my adventures and my daily videos by subscribing on my YouTube channel if you're not already subscribed. So I'll see you over there or on Twitter tomorrow when I tell you about a few other things I learned in this amazing country. See you later.